So, a funny thing happened to me the other day. My workshop controller comes over and asks me to speak to a driver about an issue he has. And this is where the driver tells me he has to use both feet to drive his truck. He said, "I go to drive off and it has these warnings that come on. When I press the accelerator, it tells me to press the brake. So I press the brake, then I try and press the accelerator and it tells me to press the brake again. So I press the brake again and I've been trying to get here for hours. This truck is a stupid pile of junk. I hate DAF." I think you get the picture. Let's just take a step back and do this correctly. Put it in gear and hold the brake. Let the handbrake off and as if by magic, it moves. This is what engineers call a safety feature. But why has the truck done this? Well, let's take a look at the fault codes and see if we can get to the bottom of these DTCs. Here we have a load of DTCs for the accelerator pedal. Could it be these that are at fault? Or could it be these here for the EGR? Or these for the crankcase ventilation unit? Well, let's start at the fuse box location for this. This is A28. This is the fuse for the accelerator pedal. So a quick test on the multimeter for continuity. Yes, I had to test it again on the fuse next to A28. Measure twice and whatnot. As you can see, the fuse is blown and not only once. What we have here is a short circuit. No, not you, Johnny 5, this type of short circuit. So what I use is this resettable fuse kit. It's got all the various amperage ratings, but I've modified the kit so I can use the standard resettable fuses and fit them in the DAF mini blade fuse locations, as I'm cheap. But back to the fault codes. What components are we going to start with to locate this short to ground? Well, this is where you need to consult a diagram, as understanding a fault requires you to understand the system completely. And as you can see, all the fault code components we have are included under this fuse, as it's in a fuse group. Not all engine components are fused individually. So what we will do is unplug them one at a time and cycle the ignition to check if the resettable fuse blows. I will start with the crankcase ventilation unit, and by turning the ignition on and checking the fuse, we can see it's not blown. It has produced only one fault on the dash now, so we can confidently say that the short to ground is the crankcase ventilation unit. This unit is a Type B replaceable open to atmosphere unit, which in this case is a like-for-like replacement. So using some DAF Motus magic, we will change this super quick. We can now plug the new unit in, remove my resettable fuse and replace it with a normal one. From here we can build the vehicle back up and finish the job. Service intervals for these filters should be observed and should be done as per this diagram if you want to ensure your crankcase ventilation module lasts. But what happens when you find your crankcase ventilation unit looking like this? Well, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and sit back and I will show you the modification required to the sump and what else you need to ask for when you go to your local DAF dealer for this modification. DAF changed the crankcase ventilation unit from a closed system to an open system, and not only this, but they also superseded this part to the Type B that you see here. So when you buy one of these crankcase ventilation units, you also need to ask your local DAF parts dealer for this parts bulletin below. As you can see, there is one for Mx11 and also one for Mx13. This will not only tell you what fitting kit you need to retrofit this unit, but also give you pictures on what you need to change. I'm currently taking a sump off an Mx11 FAX here, hence the alloy sump, which has the pump mounted for the EMAS on the front of the engine. Hopefully you'll never have to do one of these, and you'll have a nice plastic sump to just easily whip off. To access the correct location to fit the blanking plate on the engine, we will need to remove the oil pickup pipe. I'm also changing the oil seal on the pickup pipe. Can't say I've ever had it leak, but then it's in the kit, so I'm going to change it. With locking compound applied to the bolt, you can then fit the blanking plate opposite the dipstick. We can then refit the pickup pipe, replace the gasket on the sump and get the oil back in the vehicle. The crankcase ventilation unit still bolts in with 6 bolts, but these are now M8 bolts, thank God. You must blank the induction pipe with the rubber blank as supplied in the fitting kit and fit the new convoluted pipe on the crankcase ventilation unit, which pipes to the floor. Anything you noticed or do differently, hit me up in the comments. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you next time.